being awarded gold record certifications, clinching number ones on Oricon's highly competitive charts, making waves domestically as well as internationally, setting trends and records, beating those. 2D music projects have been nothing short of amazing in the last couple of years. And in this episode, we'll celebrate 5 of those memorable feats that forever changed the way people think of them. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyuu Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is 5 memorable feats by 2D music projects that forever changed the way people think of them. These feats not only opened the doors for 2D music to be massively popular, but also set and broke records, made sure that people noticed them and the voice actors part of them. If anything, these feats made people take 2D groups and seiyuu seriously, which is a win-win for everyone in the seiyuu industry. So with that in mind, in this episode we'll go over 5 of the various memorable feats by 2D music projects so far and see how those have changed the music industry for 2D groups as well as how those projects may have changed the public opinion regarding the quality of 2D music as well as seiyuu dabbling on singing and sometimes rapping. Uta no Prince Sama's popularity boom. By now, this isn't a feat that many of you don't know about. If you're a fan of 2D music, chances are you may have come across the Uta no Prince Sama franchise or Utapri in short. This franchise stemmed from Otome PSP games released in 2010. Yes, Otome games, the ones in which players romance the characters. The first game had a rather complex rhythm game component that may or may have not influenced a bunch of 2D music or multimedia projects since its release. You look now to Idolish 7 or a couple of years back to Bandia Rose and you could see those influences in mixing a story with rhythm game components. Although I believe these two franchises did that mix way better than Utapri ever did. But we all know that Utapri's strength was never in a rich, deep story because once again, for all that matters, it was a dating sim. Still, it was worth mentioning that although there are a lot of music projects, not only with male seiyuu of course, that had that story plus rhythm game component and were successful, Utapri was so successful in its early days, almost like Idolish 7 or Hypnosis Mic are today, that it is obvious that 2D music project creators at that time took inspiration in Utapri's tried and true formula. So there's that. Of course, I am not here to talk about the games, that's not my expertise, although I played all that were released on PSP. Instead, I bring the most important feat by this franchise. It opened the doors for 2D music projects to be taken seriously. If you're young enough to have not experienced the time in which 2D music wasn't charting high on Oricon or wasn't even selling enough to even dream about gold record certifications, chances are that you're not even mildly aware of Utapri's positive contribution, unless of course you're a fan of the franchise, towards making it possible for other 2D groups and ultimately music projects fight in equal terms with established artists or bands. It was through the voices of Starish with Magilove 1000% that everything would change. That song was released in 2012 and was an instant hit in Japan and quickly spread out to an international setting, being the first ever song by a 2D music project with an all-male seiyuu cast to be wildly popular both in Japan as well as overseas. We didn't see that with Weiskreuz, for example, in the 90s, and they were popular in Japan and stemmed from an anime series. Starishi's rise to stardom was quite impressive at that time. The views about 2D music projects and seiyuu changed a whole lot at that time. Until then, music in anime was treated as what it was, music in anime. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously. It wasn't meant to chart. It wasn't meant to be a massive hit song for karaoke goers. Additionally, seiyuu weren't regarded as good singers back then, even if they were genuinely good singers because of the stereotype that I talked about in episode 4 of Seiyuu Lounge. That's why Starishi's rise to fame and, consequently, Utano Prince-sama's massive popularity starting from 2012 are so important. What they achieved opened the doors for 2D music projects, served as an inspiration for other creators, put seiyuu on the public eye for their versatile skill set, and showed that 2D groups can release music that can be enjoyed outside of its respective media. They unknowingly paved the way for all 2D music projects in this episode and many more. Quartet Night's #1 on Oricon's singles chart. Of course, this had to follow because I am going chronologically over the most important feats. Quartet Night made the first bang in the music industry in 2013 with Poison Kiss. However, that wasn't the song that helped change the way people look at 2D music projects. Quartet Night is a group part of the Utapri franchise consisting of Shotaro Morikubo, Tomoaki Maino, Tatsuhisa Suzuki, and Shota Oi, and they made a tantalizing debut with Poison Kiss in 2013, but it wasn't until God's Star in 2016 that the group would experience what massive popularity is. God's Star shot into #1 on Oricon's weekly singles chart, selling 100,000 copies on its very first day of sales. It was the very first time a 2D group had achieved something like that, and especially in such a short amount of time. Quartet Night was awarded a gold record certification by the Recording Industry Association of Japan, which was a feat as well. The first #1 and the first ever CD to reach gold record status for male seiyuu. And the 2D 2.5D group managed to pull that off. It was historical in more ways than one. Back then, fans of 2D music projects and seiyuu knew how much talent there was in both. But outside of that group of people, not many took them seriously or acknowledged their talents. It is safe to say that no one imagined that Quartet Night would grow to be this big, massive presence in the 2D industry, completely eclipsing Utapri's main group, Starish, and at the same time, selling 100,000 records, getting a gold record certification, and last but not least, a #1 on Oricon's weekly singles chart, something that was hard as nails to achieve back then. Once again, a contribution towards people taking seriously both 2D music projects and seiyuu alike. Trigger's #1 on Oricon's albums chart. Trigger pulled off an impressive feat on a chart that was virtually impossible to climb at that time for 2D groups, especially entering that coveted top 3. Just like Quartet Night, Trigger did more than just experience success. They went for it. They went for that coveted #1 on Oricon's weekly albums chart. They broke that invisible barrier that both seiyuu and 2D groups were aiming to break for a long time. In 2017, Trigger, trio part of the Idolish 7 franchise consisting of Wataru Hatano, Soma Saito and Takuya Sato, managed to pull off yet another awesome thing. They reached for #1 on Oricon's weekly albums chart. If the weekly singles chart was already insanely hard to top, then you have the weekly albums chart, a chart that, since 2016, has been flooded by K-pop idols and has, since the early noughties, been the playground for J-pop idol groups completely hogging the top spots for themselves. Their sales numbers were modest, around 35,000 copies only, but the fact that they went against J-rock heavyweights and legends Bucktick as well as K-pop sensation BTS in the exact same chart and category and still managed to claim that number one was pretty surreal and plenty emotional. Not only if you were a fan of the franchise, you know which chapter in the game I am referring to, but also if you're a fan of 2D music and male seiyuu in general and want any group, project or seiyuu to be successful. It sure was an emotional win. That first number one on Oricon's albums chart is an achievement for the Idolish 7 franchise, as well as proof of the recognition for the talent of Trigger as a group, recognition of the seiyuu cast's talents, and also another important step for 2D music projects in general, making it normal or natural for them to go head-to-head with established acts and show their worth. A3 earning a gold record certification in less than a year. This tends to be a forgotten feat by most fans of 2D music, and that's mainly because not a couple of months later, all that people would talk about was a completely different 2D music project that has turned this feat into a regular occurrence. But first things first, let's talk about A3. The popular A3 franchise started with a bang in 2017, with a focus on theater troupes instead of the highly popular format of idol groups, and while focusing a lot on story, it quickly turned into a fan-favorite franchise. Once again, the main focus was the game and its story, not the music, yet it was the music that achieved an important feat. The A3 franchise earned the gold record certification in their debut year, which is 2017, the fastest a 2D music project has so far earned such a certification. Not even the record-setting Hypnosis Mic franchise has managed to pull that off, which makes this feat all the more impressive. That gold certification wasn't awarded to a 2D music project, but to a theater troupe-centric game that, on the side, has a music component. Their single Mankai Kaika Sengen was the owner of such certification, opening the doors for a first couple of highly successful months until the A3 franchise gave the spotlight to another awesome franchise. Hypnosis Mic, the multiple gold record certified franchise. A year later, in 2018, the Hypnosis Mic franchise picked up multiple gold record certifications. Like A3, this is a project that also strayed away from the conventional 2D idol group formula, instead deciding to shoot in the dark with something never before created, a hip-hop-centric franchise. In a country such as Japan that is still rather traditional, to the point that hip-hop was considered something that only those rejected by society or delinquents pursued and loved, Hypnosis Mic shifted the public opinion and made it popular and acceptable. It brought to the spotlight hip-hop creators, MCs, dancers, and beatmakers. It showed yet another different side to seiyuu, as most showed a natural talent for rapping, others have grown into their roles and now are pretty good, while others finally got to openly showcase their love for the music genre and its culture. 2017 introduced us to the very first 2D hip-hop project. Since then, the Hypnosis Mic franchise counts with multiple gold records and an insane popularity domestically as well as overseas. It is a franchise that, just like Utapri in 2010 made people look at Seiyu as good singers, starting to take 2D music seriously, made people look at Seiyu, 2D groups and hip-hop itself with different eyes. There are too many gold record certifications under Hypnosis Mike's belt. All the first division rap battle CDs have gone gold. The entire first batch of the second division rap battle CDs have also gone gold. Hypnosis Mike is undoubtedly the 2D music franchise or multimedia project that made it common, expected occurrence to earn gold record certifications, to earn number ones on Oricon's charts, that paved the way for other hip-hop projects. Like all projects and groups in this episode, it contributed positively for the way people look at 2D music projects and Seiyu. It has forever changed the way people think about the quality of 2D music projects and the skills of the Seiyu cast in those. I've covered 5 memorable feats by 2D music projects in this episode. These are the ones that have helped shape or are still shaping the 2D music industry and Seiyu. These are feats that made people change their mind about the quality that 2D music has or how skilled and versatile Seiyu are using their voice. These are the feats that paved the way for others to follow. These are the projects that are passing the torch so that we can get, for years to come, new projects that are as successful or more, all with the same objective: further improving the image that most people have of them. 2D music projects are no longer catering only to fans of those. You start seeing that in the recently announced Aupela, the focus is on attracting people that wouldn't normally check 2D music projects, showcase Seiyu's talents, and along the way, sort of converting them into fans of them as well as the projects themselves. Now tell me, what is the project you think will make people look at 2D music and Seiyu in yet another way? My bet is on Aupela, however, I'd love to know your opinions in the comments below. And remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly mail Seiyu and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyu Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.